Officials from Armenia's government, as well as policymakers and scholars, participated in Innovate Armenia, a festival of ideas and action that took place at the University of Southern California on May 18. During the program, Armine Aleksanyan, Deputy Foreign Minister of Karabakh, talked about life in Karabakh and the daily challenges that come with living in an unrecognized republic. Innovate Armenia is organized by the USC Institute of Armenian Studies.
I think it's very important to raise awareness about Artsakh because unfortunately for many, when you live so far away and you can only read the news, you think that Karabakh is someplace dangerous, where there are shooting, there is people starving, I don't know. There are many misperceptions about Artsakh. So I think it is really important to talk about Artsakh not only for diaspora, but for the world to know that Artsakh is a place, it's a country, self-organized country that in very difficult conditions had to struggle to build a state in the conditions that no one helped it to do so. It was in the conditions of war, in the conditions of economic difficulties because the country was in the process of transition from planned economy to market economy. There were consequences of war already, and in those hard conditions, these people had to self-organize to become a state because they started the movement of self-determination for more freedoms in order not to be discriminated, in order to have the right to live on their ancestral land, and in order to have an ability to decide, the opportunity to decide their own future. So it was very important in those conditions to ensure a high standard of human rights for your own citizens. That's why the Office of Ombudsman was created. That's why Karabakh legislators always followed the Armenian examples to see, because they had more ties with outside world, with European structures, for example, who would send their advisors to tell them how they should bring their legislation up to the standards of the European ones. Karabakh didn't have that opportunities because it is not recognized yet. It doesn't have access to all the formal channels of cooperation. It's not a member of any international organization. It's not recognized by any UN member states. So it was important to have someone to help it. And of course, those someones were Armenia and diaspora. As in the case of diaspora, we hope that we can use the diaspora's potential, the brain potential, the professional potential, to bring in capacity building in Artsakh. Because the same way as its authorities were deprived of possibilities of contact with the outside world, its civil society also was deprived of any contacts. And of course, we realized that without strong and developed civil society, you can't really have a democratic society. That's why we reached out to diasporan organizations, to international NGOs, asking them to come in and to try to help this capacity building process to empower our civil society so that they can be on guard and make sure that the state is developing in the way it should. Artsakh is a place where ordinary people live. Like here, they wake up every morning, they go to work, children go to school, there are concerts, there are weddings. It's a normal life. And it's only the soldiers that are on the borders on a 24-hour duty that are actually responsible for the protection of the homeland. We have, for example, a very good working relationship with the Armenian Bar Association of America, who are being really very helpful in the fields of expertise that we don't have specialists on, for example, international law. This year, Karabakh has reported to the UN Human Rights Council about the implementation of human rights standards in Artsakh. Because we had, as a country, one of the goals was also to join a number of international conventions on human rights, on like Geneva Conventions. And we did not only join it, but actually we have voluntarily produced a report, a country report, to report to the UN, which doesn't even recognize us, that we are following, we are striving to make sure that we are all these human rights accessible for our citizens in our homeland. We have to understand that in current world, if we're not together, if we're not organized and focused, we're going to lose. And that's not what we're aiming at. And we should not allow events like genocide to happen again.